As we move into Pluto and Aquarius, which is tomorrow, which is truly the age of Aquarius. It will never happen again in our lifetimes. And it's been in Capricorn since 2008. And as we move out of the very Venusian, luxurious full moon in Taurus, thought I'd hop on and do a little card reading for the week ahead to see what maybe we can expect and what we can work with as we move into this age of Aquarius, which is a place where the divine feminine can truly be abundant and be at the fore, and also it's about out-of-the-box thinking, changing structures, not doing things the same way that they've always been done, and how we can move into that personally and collectively. What we can do for ourselves to be in a place where we can receive and nurture ourselves and others. And that is Aquarius and the divine feminine coming up for all of us to take hold of and not settle in to what we've been experiencing since 2008 with Pluto and Capricorn. Because now this is about rebuilding our structures internally and externally. And it's about becoming more of a unified field and allowing these things to happen. So the first card we're going to pull, it already flew out, is what we can expect this week, what we are being met with, what we might experience. And that card is acceptance. I mean, very fitting. Very fitting. So that's what we will be met with this week. Acceptance. Generally I call it radical acceptance, because a lot of the times we don't necessarily want to accept a lot of things, but it is in our best interest to do so, whether that be personally or collectively, externally or internally. So let's see maybe what we can get rid of, let go of, become aware of, to help us get to that place of acceptance. Boundaries. So absolutely, because this is such a new time, with Pluto going into Aquarius for the next 16 to 22 years, things are going to shift internally, externally, personally, collectively. And with those shifts, there's going to be an extreme need for boundaries. And this is the beginning of that this week. So we need to be in a place of acceptance by creating boundaries for ourselves, within ourselves, for others, for business, for everything. So if you don't have any really good boundaries in place, this is the week to start thinking about those. And let's see what we can call in to help us do that. Two came out, so there's two for this one. Take the first step. First step is always the hardest. Always the hardest. And that first step is sitting down with pen and paper, or in your notes in your phone, and creating maybe 1 or 2 boundaries for yourself. You give yourself 10 more minutes in the morning so that you can just sit and breathe or meditate every single day. That's a boundary that you don't cross. Maybe you stop taking work calls after 8 p.m. if possible. I know some of us can't, but you get the idea. Take the first step, sit down, pen and paper, and think about 2 major areas in your life that might need a little more boundary setting. The other card that came out for that is trust. So trust that the boundaries that you're creating for yourself are exactly what you need and what you're supposed to be doing in order for you to come to a real place of acceptance, radical acceptance, willed acceptance, whatever it is. This week, we need to make sure we get to a place of acceptance for ourselves and others, and that's by way of creating boundaries. And if we do that work this week, we can expect, what can we expect for doing that work this week? True acceptance, boundaries, sitting down to create those boundaries and trusting that those boundaries are in our best interests. What can we expect to receive from that? The gift in that. The light. We're always moving towards the light. We don't ever want to move towards the dark necessarily, but sometimes creating boundaries can be a dark place, or a place where we might confront our shadow self, shadows of ourselves, pieces, parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily want to acknowledge or confront, which is where the acceptance comes in. We're here to accept ourselves for exactly who we are, our most authentic versions of ourselves, not what anybody else wants us to be. We move into the light and into what I call our golden ribbon path by doing that, by the acceptance. With the acceptance, the boundaries, creating that first step, sitting down, doing that, trusting that you know yourself the best, better than anyone else, you'll get to a place of feeling lighter. You'll get to a place of feeling like you do accept yourself. You'll get to a place where the light might not have been so obvious before. When we are our authentic selves and we can create boundaries for ourselves, within ourselves, for others, in whatever ways that might be, the only place we go from there is acceptance. When we accept ourselves, our situations, the people around us, when we accept all of that for what it is, you will naturally move into the light. You'll move into a place of clarity. You'll move into a place of being able to create better boundaries and trust yourself in those boundaries. It's a little bit more difficult sometimes because once we create boundaries, the people around us, maybe they're not used to that in us, so maybe there's going to be some pushback with creating those boundaries, but I can definitely say firsthand, personally and through my business, that creating those boundaries is part of who you are. And they're necessary for your health and well-being in every way, shape, and form. If we cannot create boundaries for ourselves, well then we can't accept ourselves because we're not being true to ourselves. So this week is all about accepting ourselves for who we are by way of creating boundaries, sitting down and maybe just one or two boundaries in major places that you've been feeling bubbling up, and trusting that those boundaries are exactly what you need right now. The first step to being able to fully accept yourself and others for them wanting to be in their light, just as you do, just as we all do. We all want acceptance, and we all want to be in the light for ourselves, the golden ribbon path, what I always call it. And if we cannot accept ourselves, there's no possible way we can accept others. So this week, the work is Create some boundaries. Accept yourself for exactly who you are, for whoever your authentic version of self is. Trust yourself in that and move closer into the light this week, because this shift from Pluto in Capricorn to Pluto in Aquarius is going to create lots of opportunity within. It's going to bring out the best in people, but maybe first, in order to do that, we need to create some boundaries so that we can be our best self and allow others to do the same. So, have a good week. Enjoy the new shifts. Don't question them too much. Aquarius is also a very in the head sign. But being thoughtful is part of it too. Thoughtful and caring. And allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling in order to be able to accept yourself. I'm going to pull one more card. It's a mantra card. Let's see what kind of mantra for this week might help us get there for the collective. What kind of mantra this week might help us get there? Fitting. It's cute. I bring positive energy into my life. By setting those boundaries, you're guaranteed, literally guaranteed, to bring positive energy into your life, or even back into your life, if you haven't felt that way. Accept yourself for who you are. Be your most authentic self. Set those boundaries. Trust yourself in setting those boundaries. You know what's best for you. Nobody else does. And move a little bit closer into the light this week, because that's where we're all headed.